down, President Biden froze. AMLO did not come to the summit, and there are no consequences for it. Our president, the United States, should be leading instead of following. And let's look at the agenda that the United States presented for Latin America. COVID, climate change, gender ideology, nothing about the economy, nothing about jobs discussion or tax incentives for American companies to land in Central America. Nothing about keeping Central Americans working at home instead of fleeing to our borders. You've heard that there's a new caravan coming. Obviously, if you don't have a job and there's no security in your country, you are going to come to try to live the American dream. Evidence. The president wants to talk about immigration, as I'm saying about the border. But look at this. The presidents of Guatemala, of Honduras, and El Salvador are not here because they felt mistreated. So they did not attend the Summit of the Americas on the Sanctions. So how are we going to be talking to countries that are exporting people if they're not present? So we should be spending this week finding ways to stop China, Russia, and Iran infiltrating other forces. But again, silence. That's not part of the agenda. There's still time for this administration to wake up and get back on the right path. Once again, I say Latin Americans want to do business with the United States, not with China or with Russia. Latin Americans love the United States for guidance, for friendship, and for help. Our country and our allies deserve that. Thank you. Now I'm going to give time to speak to my colleague, Mario Diaz-Balart, and then to my colleague, Carlos here.
Thank you, María Elvira. Thank you for doing this morning. You know, I don't often quote President Obama, but he was fond of whenever he met with heads of state, particularly from small nations, a line that he would throw out all the time. He would say, you know, they're punching above their weight. Well, it's pretty evident that with President Biden in the White House, the United States is punching below its weight. And you see it time and time again with disasters. And look what this president has done so far in his Latin American policy. He has done everything possible to help and give legitimacy to the enemies of freedom in this hemisphere, despite the fact that, for example, the Secretary of State publicly said that this administration supported sanctions towards the dictatorship in Venezuela and would not only not relax them, but would look at ways to strengthen sanctions. Shortly after that, they did exactly what he said, the opposite of what he said he was going to do. And so again, relaxing sanctions unilaterally on the regime in Cuba, relaxing sanctions unilaterally on the terrorist narco dictatorship in Venezuela. This is a president who continues to be confused, continues to not lead, and as I said, continues to punch below its weight. And the few things that it has pursued aggressively obviously seem to be designed to help the anti-American dictatorships in this hemisphere. And when the Mexican president feels that he has a green light to mistreat and treat the president of the United States the way he has, tells you just how little respect there is for President Biden and his administration in this hemisphere. Gracias, María Elvira Salazar, por reunirnos esta mañana. La política del presidente Biden, que obviamente luce confusa, descoordinada, pero lo que sí está haciendo es todo lo posible para ayudar a los enemigos de la libertad y los enemigos de los Estados Unidos en este hemisferio. Unilateralmente ha relajado sanciones a Venezuela, a Cuba, unilateralmente, sin exigir nada al intercambio. Y vemos que el presidente mexicano públicamente veja al presidente de los Estados Unidos y sin ningún tipo de consecuencia. Al contrario, Sabemos que se va a reunir después con el presidente Biden, después de dejar y de tratar de chantajear al presidente Biden. Realmente da vergüenza ajena ver la falta de liderazgo de este presidente y que lo único que sí está tratando de hacer es ayudar a los enemigos de los Estados Unidos, a las dictaduras en este hemisferio y los aliados de Rusia y de China. Da vergüenza ajena.
Thank you, Maria. And it's one thing in international politics. It's better to be respected, much better than to be right. And what the president of Mexico has done is exactly respect the United States. It's because actually he doesn't fear the president of the United States, because the president of the United States will not do anything to Mexico. Mexico has demonstrated, the Mexican government has demonstrated they're not a friend of the United States. Look what's going on in the southern border. Look what's going on with the cartels. All of the drugs that are flowing through the southern border into the United States, killing thousands and thousands of Americans. The Mexican government has done nothing to stop this. And now the Mexican government, López Obrador, the president, has said he will not come to the summit of the Americans because we're not inviting Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. So the president of Mexico is not a friend of the Cuban people, or the Venezuelan people, or the Nicaraguan people that are looking for freedom, and yet they're being pressed by these socialist, communist regimes. And so again, the president's lack of strength is costing American lives, and it's costing us our allies, and what really should be the region where the United States is the dominant power, and also should be the leader of this region, calling for democracy. It's unfortunate that President Biden's policies have led us to this. They continue to do it not only here in Latin America, but from around the world. There is a lack of respect for America due to the weakness that's been demonstrated by President Biden. And again, another demonstration of this is what happened just recently now with Mexico saying they're not going to the summit because they'd rather side with Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. Unbelievable. En español, es increíble que el presidente Biden otra vez ha demostrado su debilidad cuando el presidente de México piensa que puede darle un slap on the face al presidente para decirle que no va a cumplir, no va a ir a la cumbre de las Américas que están ahora en Los Ángeles. Esto es otra manera que se demostrar que el presidente no está respetado en nuestro imperio y también en el mundo porque la debilidad del presidente Biden. Y es lamentable que los Estados Unidos ahora tenga un presidente tan débil que nadie lo está respetando. Por eso es que estoy aquí, porque estoy asustado de lo que está pasando aquí en los Estados Unidos con este presidente que es tan débil. And now I will present 10% from Tennessee.
Thank y'all for allowing me to be here. The United States is hosting the Summit of Americas in Los Angeles. It's supposed to be a gathering of leaders in North America, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean to promote economic cooperation and strengthen relationships. According to the State Department, the summit will focus on building a sustainable, resilient, and equitable future. And we've heard what that is. Of course, the Democrats have to throw the buzzwords into these kind of events, but the sad truth is the Biden administration, they don't give a rip about equity when it comes to human rights for our Latin American neighbors. White House officials talk a big game about promoting human rights across the region, but the administration refuses to hold foreign leaders accountable when they blatantly violate the rights of their citizens. The two most obvious examples that are in Latin America are the communist regime in Venezuela and Cuba. These dictators unlawfully arrest anyone they want to at any time. They beat and torture their prisoners. They shut down any protest against them. They believe their citizens drive for all they have. These corrupt leaders' only goal is to keep an iron grip over the citizens and maintain control of their resources. The Biden administration knows all about these countries' numerous human rights violations. You can read about them in the State Department's 2021 Human Rights Reports, and yet the White House is choosing to soften its policies towards these communist regimes. Just a few days ago, the Biden administration announced it intends to lift several Trump-era restrictions that were imposed on Cuba, crack down on the country's human rights abuses, and prevent American money from making its way into the hands of corrupt Cuban authorities. The Biden administration also announced that it lifting sanctions against Venezuela, let the Maduro regime pump its oil into these rich European countries. This new arrangement won't do much to lower the price of oil around the world, but will provide a nice boost to the bank accounts of members of the corrupt elites in Venezuela. I and many of my Republican colleagues have been pushing the Biden administration to take more power away from our foreign adversaries like Russia and Venezuela by turning on our own spigots back home and producing our own energy again. It's hypocritical to crack down on the oil industry of one human rights violator like Russia, only to turn around and enable the oil industry of another human rights violator like Venezuela. We need to take the power away from these countries by producing more energy here at home, which would not only stimulate our own economy and drive prices down at the pump, but will provide more jobs for Americans. Unfortunately, the Biden administration has made it clear it would rather address our energy crisis by jacking up the price of gas and increasing our reliance on oil. Folks in the Biden administration talk a good game about caring for human rights, but I'm calling on them to walk the walk. Hold dictators like Maduro and Diaz-Canel accountable for the regime crimes against humanity. This starts by taking any leverage they have in the global market, highlighting a simple truth that a nation must respect the rights of its people in order to be taken seriously on the world stage, and that won't happen with their countries. Thank y'all for allowing me to be here, and I turn it over to my good friend Byron Dawson.
First of all, I want to thank Congresswoman Salazar for organizing this press conference. I mean, look, I associate myself with a lot of the comments from my colleagues. They're absolutely correct. Well, there's one clear thing that's going on here, that's the Biden administration is that she lowered our standing in the world, not just in our hemisphere. There used to be a time when the American press was so consumed about America standing in the world, but look what's happened over 17 months. Now we have the Mexican president basically ignoring our invitation to a summit. When has that ever happened? You know, but it goes further than that. Guatemala had an economic summit a few months ago. The United States did not go because we wanted to have some of the crazy, woke, progressive policies that have failed all across the United States. They want to impose those on the country of Guatemala. And because Guatemala wouldn't change their stance, we said we weren't going to their economic summit. This isn't about equity. This isn't about a consistent economic stance throughout all of our hemisphere in the Americas. This is about a radical agenda in the Biden administration that has weakened American standing across the globe. The Mexican president has no respect for us. He has no respect for this administration because we don't even respect our own border. Through Biden's policies, we have empowered the drug cartels that operate in northern Mexico. The Mexican president knows this. So how is he going to respect anything that comes out of this White House when its own White House won't even respect its own borders and maintaining our side of the southern border? We have House Democrats today who want to talk about gun safety in the United States and gun policy in the United States. But the number one cause of death for Americans 18 to 45 in the United States today is fentanyl overdoses. And that fentanyl is coming from drug cartels crossing our southern border. I don't hear Joe Biden talking about that. I don't hear congressional Democrats talking about that. So if we're not even going to respect our own border, how do we think Mexico is going to respect us? This is about leadership, folks. And there's no leadership coming out of this White House. It's happened not just with the president of Mexico, it's happening throughout our southern hemisphere, and it's also happened over in Russia and over in Eastern Europe. It happened in Afghanistan. All these things are connected. And so what it requires is leadership from the president of the United States if you're going to command respect from the other leaders around the world. It's as simple as that. We have none here. This is the latest example of what we have already seen from, frankly, a very limp and an effective White House. It's sad for America right now. Americans deserve a change. And I just want to thank the Congresswoman for giving us this opportunity to speak on these very important issues. Thank you so much.
It's so sad and embarrassing. Thank you to all of you. We've got guys need any other bites, individual bites?
Thank you.